In this video, I'm going to go over how to import files into After Effects so that you can then use them either to animate or just to have them be stationary in your animation. So what I have here is I have an untitled project with my main composition. We can see the frame rate, and it is 1920 by 1080 HD in size. Now, before I go ahead and import anything, I'm going to want to go ahead and save this project. And then anything I import, I'm going to want to keep in the same folder as this project so that After Effects can reference it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go to File and Save, since I haven't saved it yet. And I'm going to call this Importing Demo. And where I'm going to save it is I've already created a folder called After Effects Demos. And we can actually see I have some files in there already. So I'm going to save this here. So now I have a folder with this in it. So now when I go to File and Import, I'm going to want to import files only from that folder. So if I make something in Photoshop or Illustrator, I'm going to want to go ahead and save them in that same folder so I can then import them. So I in fact have an Illustrator document and a Photoshop document. And before I go ahead and import these, I'm going to jump over to each program. First, I'm going to go to Photoshop. In Photoshop, I have a layered document that is 1920 by 1080. And it's very important to have each layer named properly, named the way that you want it, and created in such a way that you can animate it, right? So the way I have this now is I have this light ray separate so that I can animate that and effectively rotate it back and forth is the idea for that. And then I have this Elvis sign with the legs separated so I can move the legs, and the cowboy with the cowboy arm so I can wave that arm a little bit. And they're all named so I can work with them individually in After Effects. Now in Illustrator, I also have some gears and a little ladder and a lever, and for each of those I also have them on their own layers. You need to have them on their own layers so that they can be separately animated in After Effects. So I'm going to go ahead and start with this, the Illustrator file, and go to After Effects and go to File and Import and File. I can also just double click within here and choose the Illustrator file. If I want to be able to animate each part individually, I'm going to need to choose Composition, Retain Layer Sizes, then click Open. When I do that, I get a folder with all of the layers, and I also get a new composition that contains all of them in the right place. So I'm going to double click on that, which will then open this composition in the timeline here. And then I can go ahead and open up any of these and start moving them. So maybe I'm going to want to open up the lever, open up the transform, and I'm going to want to end up rotating the lever. So I can go ahead and check the rotation stopwatch. I get my keyframe, and then I can come over and do a rotation. Now I'm going to get into that later because we have to adjust some other elements to make this work properly, and I'm going to do that in the next video. In terms of importing from Photoshop, it's basically the same process. Do that, import as composition, retain layer sizes, create composition, click open, and then we want to do composition, retain layer sizes, okay, and then click OK. And then we have our Vegas Science composition, and again, we have all of our layers. We have the cowboy arm, which again, maybe I'm going to want to go and I'm going to want to rotate slightly later on. That's how we get, especially Photoshop and Illustrator documents in here. You can also bring in JPEGs or other files. It's just Photoshop and Illustrator let you prepare those files in such a way that they come in with nice layers and with nice names, so they're just ready to start animating.